There's this unique magic to cracking open a dusty box of old photos, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely.
That quiet moment when each image whispers a story, a memory, a forgotten connection, sometimes even a pang of unspoken grief.
Hmm.
But as touching as those moments are, they almost always lead to the same quiet question we carry. What do we do with all of these?
Yeah.
Stacks of prints, fading albums, envelopes stuffed with film negatives. I mean, they weren't really made for permanence, yet we hold on to them.
And that's exactly why they so often sit untouched. Organizing old photos is rarely, just a task.
Yeah.
It's an emotional reckoning. To revisit these images is to look at people, places, and even versions of ourselves that, well, they no longer exist.
That's heavy.
It really is. That process can stir up immense joy, yes, but also sadness, regret, and sometimes a surprising amount of guilt.
Guilt. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe these photos were handed to you after a profound loss when you were already navigating sorrow. Or perhaps they just accumulated slowly, year after year, until one day you realize you can't even name everyone in the frame.
Oh, wow.
The emotional weight, combined with the sheer volume, it can feel completely paralyzing.
You've hit on the core challenge, and I think the core opportunity there. It's that tension between the emotional weight and the incredible value hidden within those piles.
Definitely.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into excerpts from the article, From Shoebox to Story, Organize Old Photos into a Digital Tribute by David Cortez.
Great piece.
Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack how to transform this often overwhelming task into a truly meaningful experience, essentially turning a mess into a memory map. Let's unpack this.
Okay.
One of the most powerful questions I pulled from this article, and it genuinely shifted my perspective, was, what story am I trying to preserve?
That's the key, right there.
It implies we don't need to save everything, which, frankly, is a huge relief. The idea is that not every single photo needs to be scanned or archived.
Not at all.
Some might just be visual noise, like those blurry, underexposed shots from a vacation, while others hold deep personal value, perhaps a candid moment at a birthday that captures a true laugh, or a quiet interaction between loved ones. What does that idea unpack for you, especially in a practical sense?
Well, it's such a crucial starting point because it forces you to be intentional. You have to ask why this photo. Preservation experts offer more concrete guidance on this.
Like what?
They suggest you choose photos that truly reflect relationships or important life events. Look for images that spark strong emotional responses, even subtle ones, or those that tell a clear piece of your family or personal story. It's really about quality over quantity.
Makes sense.
And if you're looking for even more detailed guidance, trusted archives like the National Archives offer excellent photo preservation tips that really dive into the technical side too. Worth checking out.
Good tip. So, once you've made those tough choices about which stories to prioritize, the next hurdle is, okay, how do you actually arrange them?
Right, the organization part.
The article then shifts our focus from just collecting to truly organizing. It talks about grouping photos in a way that reflects memory, rather than just strict chronology.
Which, when you think about it, makes a lot of sense because our memories rarely follow a perfectly linear timeline anyway.
Exactly. Mine certainly don't.
What's fascinating here is that it suggests methods that move beyond simply sorting by date. You can organize by person, which can be incredibly powerful.
How so?
Well, imagine seeing someone's entire life story unfold just by scrolling through their photos, from baby pictures right up to their golden years. It connects a lifetime of images to one individual.
That sounds really compelling.
Or you can organize by themes such as holidays, travels, or even something like everyday joy, those candid, ordinary moments that truly define a life.
Oh, I like that everyday joy idea.
Yeah, it really helps highlight the overarching narratives within your collection. It's less about dates, more about feeling.
Okay, so we've identified the why, the story, and the what, the specific photos and themes. Let's talk about the how, the practical steps to actually get these memories into a usable format.
The nuts and bolts.
Once you've narrowed down and grouped your photos, the next step is often digitizing them. That's where you bring them into the digital world.
Scanning or photographing them.
And a critical point here is labeling each digital file with the names, places, or events shown. Might sound like a small detail, but it's the difference between a functional archive and a true memory map.
That labeling point is absolutely non-negotiable. If you skip that, you're just creating a digital shoebox.
Good point.
And on that note, let's talk about the actual tools that can help here. The article points to free options like Google Photos for organizing once they're digital.
Which a lot of people already use.
Exactly. Or paid services like ScanMyPhotos if you need help with the actual physical scanning process. Maybe you have thousands.
Right, for big jobs.
But the real revelation here, what truly sets this process apart, is understanding that the digital file itself isn't the finish line.
Okay.
The core insight isn't just about turning physical photos into digital bits. It's about recognizing that the true value lies in the stories and connections those images represent.
So it's deeper than just backup.
Much deeper. Think of it less as a scanning project and more as an act of legacy building. The goal isn't a hard drive full of JPEGs, it's making those memories accessible and meaningful for generations to come.
Accessible and meaningful. Which brings us to the concept of a digital tribute.
Yes.
The article introduces this as a powerful, more holistic way to organize old photos, specifically mentioning a life portrait as an example created to address this exact challenge of meaning beyond just files.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, a digital tribute offers so much more than just, say, a simple cloud folder or a hard drive.
What does it offer?
It provides a dedicated place where families can upload those meaningful photos and then, crucially, pair them with written stories, voice notes, or even a life in review video.
So you add context.
Exactly. It really transforms those loose memories into something that feels whole and cohesive. It turns a collection into a narrative. A living narrative, almost.
And people use these tributes in such impactful ways. The article mentions examples of them being created after a parent's or a beloved pet's passing.
Yeah, as a memorial.
Or when cleaning out a grandparent's home, which is something so many of us face.
A huge task, emotionally and physically.
Or simply as a proactive way to make sure cherished stories aren't lost to time. When you organize old photos into a tribute, not just a mere collection, you really do create something that, well, that outlasts the shoeboxes.
It gives them life beyond the paper. So if those shoeboxes and albums have been quietly waiting in a closet or under a bed, the article offers such powerful encouragement. Maybe this is the moment to start.
I love that.
And it stresses a gentle approach. Not all at once, not perfectly, just one photo at a time.
That feels incredibly liberating, doesn't it? It takes the pressure off.
Totally. It makes it manageable.
It really does. And remember the motivation behind it? You don't need to do it for everyone, just for the people you love and the stories you hope they'll remember.
Beautifully put. Ultimately, this deep dive shows us that organizing old photos is about so much more than just physical or digital preservation.
It's more than just scanning.
Way more. It's about safeguarding the narratives and the emotional connections embedded within these images for future generations, ensuring they don't just fade into forgotten pixels or dusty paper.
It's about transforming what feels like an overwhelming task into a meaningful act of creating lasting tributes.
Yeah.
A way to connect past, present, and future.
Well said.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? If you were to open one of those shoeboxes, maybe later today, what's the one story you'd be most curious to rediscover? Or the one person whose memory you'd most want to ensure lives on, not just as a picture, but as a vibrant, shared narrative? Something to think about.